Hi guys, Rachel here. So I've been meaning to do some sort of seasonal type videos for October, and I don't think I've really done that aside from like early October at present, but it was really more about what I did in September. So last night I was watching Tammy Pie, and she did a VR to Lady Blind Wolf. It's the spooky season tag. So I just thought it was so much fun. Sorry, my cat is like howling like a wolf. How apt for this video. You probably can't hear him. Anyway, he's fine. It's just that Mark is away at a meeting in the city, and he's just used to somebody always being like in the kitchen. So he'll adjust. Anyway, sorry for that. Anyway, Tammy Pie's video was so much fun. I thought I would try to do it. It probably won't be as interesting listening to her responses to the prompts. I was trying to think of what my responses would be, and I didn't really have much of anything I could come up with, but I didn't write down any answers. I just thought I would have fun and do my best. And I'm also going to do what Tammy Pie did. She showed a bunch of witchy decks while she answered the prompts, and she had like the best stories. If you're interested in this tag, you haven't seen her video, go check it out. I haven't actually watched the original yet because I didn't want to find myself too influenced. So I'll do that after. Anyway, back to what I was originally saying. I'm going to do what Tammy Pie did. I'm not going to show witchy decks necessarily, just a bunch of decks that I think are appropriate for the season, and decks that I feel I haven't shown on my channel, I don't think, or if I have, really only in passing. So let's try to get right into it here. So Stormy, I'm so sorry. We'll see if I can do this without my heart breaking. I'm going to start with the Mildred Payne's Oracle of Black Enchantment. This is the Blood Edition 2. This is actually a relatively new deck to me. Patrick Valenza recently made this available on his shop. It's out of print, but he found a few in storage somewhere. So I have 3 different editions of this deck. I don't actually have the original with the white backgrounds. I have an orange one, and I have the blue one, but we'll just show this. I haven't even used this deck yet. And I will answer the prompts as I'm showing the cards. So, favorite Halloween fall treat, kid versus adult. Some extra cards here. Let me think. For fall, I mean, you know, everybody's favorite is probably pumpkin pie. And my mother and my grandmother were excellent pie makers, like the best crust. And because of that, I usually find myself disappointed when I try anybody else's pies. But for Halloween, really the only thing that I can think of are these donuts that we used to get seasonally. I came from a really, really small town. Actually, it was a village in Western New York. Like, we were surrounded by cornfields and dairy farms. But there was this yellow goose in the middle of town, and, you know, you could buy necessities like milk and bread, but also donuts in the morning. And I have some memories of, you know, my parents and my older brothers buying a dozen donuts, and around Halloween time, they would just have these funky ones that like had purple frosting or maybe a spider painted on them. And I used to just like daydream about those as a kid, out of season. And I don't even remember what they tasted like. I was just taken with the colors and the decorations. And as an adult, I don't really know. I mean, I guess I like apple cider donuts. There's a really nice farm stand nearby, and they make them fresh there. And I haven't actually bought any this year, but maybe that's what I would say. All right, the next prompt is favorite Halloween special. I think that means maybe like a made-for-television sort of film. And the only thing that I can think of is the made-for-television production of Stephen King's The Tommyknockers. I remember thinking that was so cool. Like this town being possessed by aliens. And also it wasn't too scary for me when I was younger. I was afraid of everything. We'll get into that later. And then there's this, what is it called? It's from the 20s, and it's the skeleton dance, but there's actually like a title for it, and I can't remember what it's called. But I used to show it to Eleonora every year around this time. And we just adore it. We adore the dance of the skeletons and the music. It's just so much fun. And there's a couple different versions of it. There's one from the 20s, and then there's one that they did in the 30s where it's in color. And that is also very fun. Often you find that video posted online, and people have replaced the original music with like updated stuff, and I don't like that as much. So let's move on. Favorite weird or old Halloween movie? Now this is going to be hard for me to answer because I love movies. If you've been following me for a while, you probably know that. Favorite weird or old Halloween movie? So for weird, it might be Dracula AD 1972. And I don't know if that's necessarily weird or just silly. And you've probably heard me go on about that. Old Halloween movie might be Dracula 1931. I think it's 1931. Because I love Bela Lugosi. And every time I watch that movie, I appreciate it more and more. I won't talk about it too much because I know I have, like in my Gothlit November videos, and I talked about it in the Fanguary video that I did last February. I did this whole Dracula video, but the first time, it wasn't the first time. Let's say the first time watching it, after having not seen it for many years, I remembered thinking like, this is so inaccurate, right? Because I had read the book. But then after I read the book a second time and watched like dozens of Dracula movies, dozens, I actually read that Dracula as a book to film adaptation holds the record. It holds the record as like for having the most film adaptations from book to screen. So having said all that, I've realized that the Bela Lugosi Dracula is really not far off the mark at all. It's really good. And it's just so atmospheric. I love the play of light and shadow, and Bela Lugosi. I love Bela Lugosi. Another one, well, no, we're going to move on because I think there are other movie prompts in here. And I need to bring out another deck. The Happy Halloween Tarot by Sunny Graves. This deck is so darling. So darling. And this guidebook is actually really good. Like, I should be using this deck this week. I kind of find myself getting into like super Halloween mode pretty late into the season. These are the backs. So this is a deck that I should be using this week. Let's go on with the prompt. Best Halloween memory. Okay, I was thinking about this, and I don't really know how to answer it because it dawned on me, Halloween, for whatever reason, I don't have the best memories. I don't. Typically around this time of the year, I don't know why, but bad things tend to happen. But I still do love Halloween. So let me try to think of one though. I mean, okay. I used to live really close to a theme park. And I mean, it was a Six Flags, which only got larger and larger and larger over the years. And I had a boyfriend when I was a teenager who lived like right around the corner from the theme park. So every weekend, go to his house and we would just walk from his place to the theme park. And we all had season passes. So now that I think about it, it's kind of a weird thing. Like, I don't know. That's not weird. It's just different because now as an adult, I have no interest in going to theme parks. And I think the nearest one is like 45 minutes away, and I've been like once, and I don't know, just, we went a lot because it was the thing to do. And so, you know, every year around Halloween they had, I don't remember if they called it Fright Fest or if they called it something else, but the park would be open later and you just walk around and like dressed up and stuff. But some of the rides were closed, probably because they weren't safe to be operating in the dark. But I wouldn't say that those are my favorite memories. I don't miss that. Like I said, I think I just had a lot of bad memories. Like, this is probably not going to be the most exciting Halloween video, guys. Maybe I would say, a few years ago when I went with my daughter to go trick-or-treating in Salem, which you guys know I live nearby, but you've probably heard me mention we usually avoid it in October. But I did consent a few years ago to go with her and her father. Like, her father and I are split up. But he would always take her for Halloween, and I would stay home. And a few years ago, I thought that we were all mature enough for me to go with them. And that was really nice, actually. That was very nice. It was a really wonderful, warm night, and where we were trick-or-treating, it was so quaint and old-fashioned. It was like an old Halloween postcard or something. Because everybody was like where all the action was. So that was nice. I might say that that could be my best Halloween memory. I know, not very exciting. Worst Halloween memory. Well, I already talked about all the bad memories I have. But I can't remember specifically like Halloween, but like I do have memories of being on this haunted hayride as a kid. And I was really little, and I was super sensitive, and I was terribly afraid of far too much. But I remember being on the haunted hayride, and I think they were giving all of us hot chocolate, and the hot chocolate somehow spilled in my lap on my corduroy pants, and I was so miserable the whole time. I think I was crying. I thought something just awful had happened to me. And I don't even remember it like burning my skin or anything. Just like, it was so offensive to have a wet lap. But I also have a memory of going to a Halloween party at a friend's house and being so depressed and not being able to say a word. And I wanted to cry the whole time. And I couldn't explain it because I was around a bunch of people that I knew and loved. But I think, especially when I was younger, I think I had some seasonal depression going on. So, I guess that's what I would say for worst, maybe, is the haunted hayride. Or that Halloween party. Halloween ritual. I honestly just like to watch favorite movies with my family And like, we don't even hand out candy. I really appreciate all of the houses that do that. I think it's wonderful for the kids, like especially the little kids. I'm just not that person that I wish I was. I'm kind of a recluse. And my boyfriend's, you know, he's like that too. So we just like make the house dark and we watch spooky movies, fun movies, and we have treats. And I think that's what we're going to do this year. My daughter said she doesn't really think she wants to go trick-or-treating. So I think that's what we're going to do. But I don't know. I mean, growing up, my father, let me get out another deck. Hold that thought. This is the Vampiria Tarot. It's like a French deck. And I'm going to show this. And this is like a new to me deck too. This deck is very beautiful. So yeah, growing up, my father like was obsessed with Halloween and my mother hated it. So it was difficult finding like a balance. But my dad liked all of the super, super scary, gory stuff. And I was afraid of it all. So I did have memories of like trying to go to haunted houses and stuff and maybe being too afraid. But I think I also remember just enjoying seeing people's decorations. Not so much as, you know, the Christmas decorations, but yeah, I liked the ones that weren't really scary because I was a scary cat. All right, let's go on to the next prompt. Greatest phobia? Oh man, like, I don't know. I'm afraid of a lot less than I used to be. I am an arachnophobe. I wish I wasn't. I've gotten a little bit better about it. I have. I was telling somebody this recently. I feel like the more you learn about something, the less you're apt to be afraid of it. So the more I've learned about certain types of spiders, the less afraid I am of them. But it still does not please me to see them, like, just pop out of nowhere. But yeah, greatest phobia. Oh, man. I mean, I kind of don't want to answer because it would be going too deep. And I don't really struggle with a lot of that anymore. But I think when I was younger, I used to have some weird, like, OCD kind of, like, weirdness. You know, I'm going to light some incense. I forgot to do that. Let's see. What is the next prompt? Sorry if I'm not doing the best job with this. Paranormal experience on Halloween. I don't think that I can think of one. I could be wrong about that, but I really can't. I don't know. I have a hard time discerning Halloween from Halloween, like from as the years went by. I mean, I grew up near Buffalo, New York, so we had a lot of Halloweens where we were just like snowed out, like we had blizzards, and we couldn't like go anywhere. But like, maybe I could talk about a paranormal experience. Like, okay, when I was like, I think I was 20. I remember one night I was sleeping on the couch because I had really, really bad anxiety. So for a few years, actually, I didn't even sleep in my bedroom. I would sleep in the living room with old movies on because it kind of helped distract me from my fears. And one night, like, I was doing this weird thing where I had my fingers pressed to my forehead and I had like this huge crush on this guy. This is so embarrassing, right? And I remembered thinking like, I want him to think about me. I want him to think about me. So I was like, weird, right? I've never done anything like this since, really, actually, because of what happened after. And I went to sleep. And I remembered waking up in the middle of the night for no reason at all. And my cat was on my chest. And I remembered waking up and like not being able to move. And my cat was frozen too, and he had his eyes were like saucers, and he was staring towards the back of the house. Like, I lived in a really tiny house. And I noticed as my eyes adjusted to the dark that all of the shadows in the house, because there was like a kitchen light on, like a light above the sink as a nightlight, all of the shadows seemed blacker than black. It was very weird. And then I had this, like, one of the strongest feelings I've ever had in my life, that there was something in the bathroom, and it was telling me to go there. And it was terrifying. And it was really strong, and it was almost like I wanted to, but I knew I couldn't. And I know that sounds really weird, but I don't think I've ever had anything else like that happen to me. And I was convinced that it was because of whatever I was doing, whatever energies I was using to get that guy to think about me. And no, I don't think it was my crush in the bathroom. No, it was dark. So that's really, I don't have a lot of paranormal experiences. My family argues with that. They call me they think I'm creepy. I have weird things happen with just knowing things and dreams. I don't find scary at all. I don't find scary at all. And maybe I've been present for certain things that people find paranormal. I don't find it scary. I don't know. Let's see. Favorite horror, scary book. Let me think. Favorite scary book. Okay, well, the first one that comes to mind is The Turn of the Screw by Henry James. That just really freaked me out for some reason. Is it my favorite? It probably is. Let me think if there's any others. Sorry, I've gone like silent all of a sudden. I really liked The Shining by Stephen King, the novel. Yeah, I really liked that. I think we'll move on because I'm only really supposed to list one. So, scariest movie as a kid. Okay. So like I said, I was a huge scaredy cat, and my father loved all that stuff. I think what made it worse for me, what exasperated it, was that my mother would panic. She had no tolerance for it at all, and she still does not. She actually will get upset with me for watching something that she finds depressing, you know. Like there's like war films that I like, and she's like, "Are you sick in the head?" You know, like. But I think I remember my dad watching, I think it was Evil Dead when I was a kid, and I was screaming, like screaming and screaming and screaming. I was horrified, and my mother's like, "Dennis, what the hell's the matter with you? You know, turn that crap off." And my dad was laughing and laughing, and like, I can see how some people would think, wow, that was cruel of your dad. My dad wasn't trying to be cruel. There was just like this disconnect, like a disconnect. He wasn't trying to traumatize us. He just didn't find it scary himself, so he thought it was, you know, funny. Because, yeah, there's plenty of adults that like to make kids scream, I guess. And that was my dad. But my dad used to have this keyboard, like, you know, the synthesizer and stuff. And, like, he had these sounds on the keyboard that were, like, it would be, like, the sound of wind and wolves howling. And he would play that for me, and that would make me scream. So, yeah, that's what I remember. But when I was a teenager, I remember going to see, The Sixth Sense. That was really scary. But actually, that was a movie that I could watch over and over again. And there's still scenes from that movie that, like, kind of get stuck in my head and creep me out. And it's funny because my mom actually really liked that movie too, even though I said like she doesn't like scary stuff. Worst scary movie ever seen. So I'm not sure exactly what this means, but I remember Tammy Pie had decided to categorize worst as meaning like goriest. It's kind of funny. Let me switch decks and I'll answer. So, yeah, I'm going to show you the Crowley Tarot. The Tarot of Crowley, or Crowley, or however you say it, by Christoph James. I don't think I've shown this deck before. So I remember she actually said the Rob Zombie movies. I can't watch those movies. I had friends who were big Rob Zombie fans, and like I liked his music and stuff and like him as a person, but yeah, his movies sometimes, dude, is that, I think that's Rudolph Valentino. That's really wild. I hadn't noticed that before. Anyway, what was I talking about? Yeah, I would be over at people's houses and like all of my friends loved horror films. And Rob Zombie movies would be playing and I would just see bits and pieces of it. And I was like, whoa, I wish I had not seen that. I wish I hadn't seen what I it just seemed like. I don't think I can tolerate that. I don't like slasher movies. Like if there's a slasher movie that I like I like Psycho, but I don't really consider that, you know, like a slasher movie. Like I don't watch movies where there's a group of people and they slowly get killed off one by one. They're just not interesting to me. And usually there's just too much torture going on. I can't watch that. But I like to be scared. So yeah, I'm going to answer it like that, like worst as in gore. Because worst scary movie ever seen. I mean, there's so many bad scary movies. Like they're just bad and people like them because they're bad. So, let's see. Most frightening ghost story. I don't know. Like, again, the turn of the screw comes up. I don't know why that's so stuck in my head. But I should have thought about this more. But I mean, that is a ghost story. I mean, I don't know if I was told any ghost stories growing up, like personal stories of hauntings and stuff, you know? I can share one weird thing with you, but I'm not going to talk about it in detail because I think it would be too upsetting for people. So if you want to know more and you know me in person, you can ask me. But I had a dream about somebody that died a certain way. And it was so vivid and so upsetting to me that the next day I went on Google and I was searching specific keywords related to my dream to see if any news stories came up. And finally, I saw an image of a woman that looked exactly like the person in my dream. Now, this death had actually occurred, I think, a couple of months or more prior to my dream, but I was convinced that it was them. And there were other photos related to it, and even like a clip of a video, and everything about it was the setting of my dream. And it was scary because in the dream she was like dead or dying, and her grandmother was there dressed in church clothes, and she and some other, I guess, ancestors were trying to get her up to go into this function hall that was located behind them. But the dead woman, she wouldn't get up and go with them, with her grandmother. So yeah, I don't know if that really, I swear, I'm convinced I had a dream about that person. I don't know why. And like I said, at the time I had it like, and I know that it wasn't a story that I had seen before. It wasn't significant enough to make like national headlines or anything. Like I really had to dig. But yeah, that was upsetting. I don't know if it qualifies as a ghost story, but most memorable haunted house attraction is the next one. So I kind of already talked about the theme park. And I don't know if it's like super memorable, but just what I really remember the most about that is the smells. I think it was the smells from like the fog machines or something. It was a weird, weird smell. My father loved haunted houses, and I was really afraid of them. And I have this memory of being in a haunted house. I don't know how old I was. And I was really scared. And like the whole time I was like, like crying like that, like seriously, trying to be brave, but crying. And then I was walking through this one area, and like I was wearing a winter hat, and my hat had fallen off. And it made me cry even more. And then this is so cute. This guy, I was looking for my hat, and I saw like this Grim Reaper dude, and he had like he was picking up my hat off the floor to hand to me, and he wasn't trying to scare me, but he scared me, so I screamed, and it it startled him, so he like ran off. And then I started crying even more because I felt bad for the Grim Reaper guy, and I wanted to say, I'm so sorry. Like, I feel so bad. Like, I really appreciate you trying to give me my hat back. Yeah, I don't know. I can't really think of any others. Like, and I don't typically go to haunted houses. Like, I don't go to like really any attractions because I'm a party pooper. I find them overpriced. The last time I went to a haunted house, like a couple of years ago, I couldn't believe how expensive the tickets were. And it was just like, whatever. It was okay. It wasn't something I didn't really care. I'm sorry. This is probably like not the best VR. Let's see. What other deck? I'm going to show you the Tarot de Gulliver. That was horrible pronunciation, but Gulliver, the Gulliver Marseille, because these colors, duh. Scary movies, books for a tarot oracle deck. Yeah, so you know what? Speaking of Tammy Pie again, I love that she said you could make an Anne Rice deck. Yeah, that would be fun. That would be fun. There's so many characters that you could use. Scary movies, books for a tarot oracle. Let me think. I have some time to think while I'm showing you some cards. Surely. Yeah, I didn't think this through before I decided to film. I know, like, I'm forgetting something. I love that. I feel like there's just been so many, like, I don't know, Gothic type decks. Not maybe so many, just more than there have been. And the thing is like a lot of the novels I'm thinking about, they're not really scary. They're not really like scary to me. Like I would love to have a Wuthering Heights deck, and that's not scary. I mean, I guess it could be. And there is a ghost in it. The people can be scary in it. Or like Frankenstein. And I'm kind of like playing with the idea of making my own Gothic literary kind of deck. because I've gone so deep into like studying the past couple of years. But I'm trying to think of something that's like scary that could be adapted and hasn't been yet. I'm like really drawing a blank on this. I love this deck. I wish I could think of one. And I wish I had maybe prepared myself more. I just had some free time. The house is so quiet right now at an unusual time. It's never quiet this time of the day. And I thought, well, it would be a great time for me to film a video, because I have a bunch that I want to film soon, and it's hard to find the time. I was going to say like an Alfred Hitchcock, but there is an Alfred Hitchcock deck, and I really want to get it. It's just the tariffs have like kind of messed everything up, and I was sort of waiting, thinking like maybe this will go away, but I don't know, and I really want to get it. I don't know, like I'm thinking of like weird things, like I would like an Apocalypse Now deck, but it's not, I mean, okay, war films are scary, and there's some scary psychological stuff that go on in that. Like, it's based on Heart of Darkness, and Heart of Darkness is not typically classified as gothic, but it really has so many gothic elements in it. And so you could say that, but that's not a typical, like, scary movie book for a tarot oracle deck. I kind of wanted to show another deck, so I think I'm at the end of the prompts, but maybe I will try to go back to some of the prompts. This is Les Vampires by Lucy Cavendish and artwork by Jasmine Beckett Griffith. I've been really loving this lately. Thanks to Honey Lou for making me realize I needed this. So yeah, I keep getting this card lately, and it is, yeah, so fitting, especially for something that my daughter's going through right now. Let's see, what can I go back on that maybe I remember more of? Yeah, how about like some more favorite weird or old Halloween movies? So one of my favorites that I also adore because I think it's like actually really scary is The Pit and the Pendulum. And that's a Vincent Price movie. And it's actually, yeah, like, I think for its time, it was kind of groundbreaking. And I read that it actually kind of influenced a lot of horror films which followed. And I think that movie is like, I can't remember if it's like 1959 or 1960, but it's somewhere around there. I'm pretty sure. I don't think that I'm getting it completely wrong and that it's like from 10 years before that time. I really like The Haunting. That was one that really scared me as a kid, and it's interesting that my mother really likes that movie because, like I said, like she has this reputation of really not liking scary movies. Let me think. What else can I go on about? Paranormal experience. Like I said, I don't really have a lot of them, but another one that I can think of that I don't think that it happened around Halloween, but there was this apartment that I used to live in, and I would wake up in the middle of the night because I was convinced I kept hearing all these people pounding on the walls, and they were screaming that they were trapped. And I would wake up and I would shake my husband, and I'm like, didn't you hear all that noise? And he's like, no, like what? And then I would realize that it was a dream, but that happened so many times. And other weird things happened in that apartment. And I've had people like my current partner tell me that there was something weird about the stairwell there. He always had really bad feelings going up and down it. And I was like, I never had that. But you know what I will say is I always would feel very dangerously depressed whenever I was walking up and down those stairs. But I just figured it was my circumstances, my environment, because I was very alone and depressed. But other weird things would happen, and they were usually tied to dreams. I had another one where I could have sworn that my husband came in with a knife, and I shot bolt upright, and he was just sleeping beside me. The scariest one, and it doesn't seem that scary. Let me get out another deck. This is the Mildred Payne Secret Pocket Oracle. This is the Seance edition. So you guys probably know I love this deck. I just recently picked this up. I have the original and I have the Bloody Hell edition. And I finally got the Seance. Now this is the deluxe, so this is a little bit bigger than the original. And my daughter also has the Secret Pocket Oracle, the original coloring, but she also has the deluxe edition because she told me she wanted the bigger size. So anyway, the scariest dream was that my husband got out of bed and he walked around to my side of the bed and he just kind of bent forward and he whispered, "Rachel," like that. And my eyes popped open. I was terrified, but he wasn't there. And I couldn't get back to sleep. So that's probably telling, there was a lot wrong with my relationship for that to be so scary. Because I don't have nightmares like that anymore. Not about Mark, I love this deck. But I'm trying to go back to see if there's anything I forgot to talk about. Yeah, Halloween is, it's one of my favorite seasons. Aesthetically, I love the orange and black and purple and fun colors. I love the bats. I love the skeletons. Love decorating the house, but we don't really decorate the outside of the house. My daughter used to make all of these handmade decorations with pipe cleaners and stuff. I couldn't believe what a little engineer she was. The things she came up with, and so quickly. I mean, kids are so creative. I think they're a lot more creative than adults. I think maybe I was more creative when I was a kid. You get bogged down by life. Yeah, it's just strange. As I got to be an adult, never really went to Halloween parties or anything. When my daughter was really little and I was still married, we would take her trick-or-treating, and that was kind of fun. But I didn't really dress up anymore because I was it's just too much effort. I'm I need to get her a costume, and I wasn't really dressing up anymore or anything. When I was a kid, I was always either a princess or a fortune teller. And sometimes I was a hippie. Because back when I was a kid, we had thrift stores, which we had one right in our town. The clothes were so much cooler and they weren't expensive. You could buy poodle skirts from the 1950s. There was a beautiful silk wedding dress from the 40s that my mother and my grandmother had me try on. Not to mention all of the cool 60s and 70s clothes that would come in there all the time. Just so much fun. Oh my God. But yeah, as an adult, didn't really seek out Halloween parties and stuff because, yeah, my daughter, when she was little, we'd take her, but her father and I split when she was 3, almost 4. And he would always take her to Salem every Halloween. And that was fine. I wasn't jealous of that. I thought that's nice. Like, and there were kids that she knew there that she would trick or treat with. So I would just, yeah, just like stay at home and do whatever. Like maybe I would watch a scary movie and maybe not. But yeah. I don't know why over the years, I guess making this video made me realize that, like, wow, like I don't have like the best, love that, memories. But yeah, I think this Halloween's gonna be nice. I think that we're just gonna be at home, and we might have like a friend come over and just do a little bit more decorating and stuff. And yeah, anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this. This was a really fun tag. Please check out the original and Tammy Pie's. Tammy Pie's is like a lot more interesting than mine. It was a lot of fun. She had some really great stories and a couple of really scary ones. So anyway, thank you for watching, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.